It's our biggest video of the year. It's time to see what 2023 has done to the best Black Series figures of all time. Hello there, welcome back to the channel. I am Grand Moff Tony. Well, 2024 is upon us. Happy New Year to one and all of you. I hope you had a brilliant end to the year and all the best wishes for the new year. But with all the pleasantries aside, it is time to once again revisit the top 10 best Black Series figures of all time and see how the latest additions to the line have affected that lineup. Because 2023 was a fantastic year for this line, and so naturally, the ranking of the best figures available in it has significantly changed with all the new additions. So with all that said, let's not waste any time. Let's get into the rules to qualify for this list. The rules are simple. All you have to do to qualify is be a Star Wars Black Series figure that is openly available on the market and is a figure that I have added to my collection. All bets are off, no holds are barred, no refunds, exchanges, or exclusions. So with that said, let's get into the honorable mentions. I like to do honorable mentions a little bit differently. It's not so much like I'm giving you numbers 11, 12, and 13 on the list. I just like to use this opportunity to shout out 3 figures that, while they may not have made any lists or got to the top of any rankings, I feel like they deserve a shout out. So maybe honorable shout out is more appropriate for this list. Firstly, I wanted to do a shout out to Clone Wars Darth Maul. Now this guy missed the mark last year for the best of 2022 because I didn't find him until nearly halfway through this year, which meant it was too late for both lists, but I do feel like he deserves a shout out here because it is an exceptional figure. Incredibly detailed face, absolutely perfect likeness, the costume is great, it's exactly what we wanted going into this. He's a fantastic figure. I also wanted to do a shout out here to General Hera Syndulla. This was a figure that I added to my collection over Christmas, and she is just gorgeous. It is a perfect representation of General Syndulla. I love the outfit, the absolutely vibrant colours and the way they contrast off one another, the greens, the oranges, the browns. She just looks incredible. I wanted to give her a little moment here to just kind of shout out how much I love this figure. And the final honourable shout out goes to Wicket. I adore this figure so much. I wanted to include it here because I want more Ewoks. Just keep bringing me Ewoks. Bring me small figures with great articulation and exceptional amounts of accessories in the box. Wicket is brilliant. The paint job, the design, the engineering, it's perfect. Shoutouts out of the way, let's get into the list itself. Let's really get into this. Coming in at number 10 is the Gaming Greats Bastila Shan. Yeah, you know I'm serious when a figure I described as the single best female sculpt in the entire line comes in at number 10. Bastila is an exceptional figure. The engineering on this body is just next level. There's so much character, so much femininity in this design. But what I love the most about it is the way that the overlays and the clothing all hang down perfectly whenever you put her into a dynamic pose. The body goes into a dynamic pose, but the clothing drapes down exactly the way it's supposed to. You don't have anything that's supposed to be draping down, sticking off at an angle and looking really awkward. As much as I wanted to put Mon Mothma on this list because I adore that figure, she's got that issue with her sleeves pointing straight out whenever you move her arms. Bastila doesn't have that. She is perfect in every way. Like, the face is incredible. It's such a great likeness. I adore it. And unlike a myriad of female figures before her, Bastila is incredibly stable. You put her in any position and those feet will support her and hold her up. I am really excited to see where the future of human female figures goes in this line because Bastila has just set a new high. For all these reasons and more that you can listen to on my top 10 of 2023, Bastila Shan comes in at number 10. At number 9 is the Gamorrean Guard. Far and away the best non-humanoid alien they have ever done in the entire line. The Gamorrean Guard is just perfection. It is a reminder of how great the Black Series is at doing aliens, particularly aliens that aren't even remotely humanoid. The exceptional detail on that brilliant alien head, the articulated jaw, incredible soft goods, and articulation that makes you forget just how bulky this figure is. There There is so much detail on this figure, it just blows my mind. There's so many intricate little painted details here, there, and everywhere. But mostly it's the face. It's that incredible face and that ingenious articulated jaw. Add to all of this a box that is packed out with so many accessories, 2 axes and a spear. It's just unbelievable. I have 2 of them already. I am sorely tempted to go out and get a third just so I can get that extra axe on my shelf. These guys are incredible. I talked last year about how the soft goods pelt is exactly what you want out of a pelt. It just sort of flows very, very naturally. It's not poofy, it doesn't stick out and flay everywhere, it's not kind of grim and wiry looking like some of the others. It is 100% perfect. They really went to town on this guy. And as a non-humanoid alien, I don't see it being outdone anytime soon. The Gamorrean Guard holds its place at number 9. At number 8 is Clone Captain Rex. Now this guy, I really thought, like, what do I care the most about here when it comes to clone troopers? Because there have been some really great clone troopers through the line, especially in the last year. Like, the addition of Commander Appo has really taken clones to the next level, but I keep coming back to Rex. Rex is just artistically the best looking clone they have ever done. The exceptional details on his armor, everything that you want on there as a fan of the Clone Wars is there. The weathering, it is the best weathering I have ever seen in this line. It's an old sculpt, so it's not as well articulated as later clone figures, but that doesn't bother me in the slightest. What I really care about is how good this figure looks on the shelf, and it just has no equal. No equal among the clones whatsoever. His helmet is absolute perfection. The tiny little details here, there, and everywhere, the exceptional weathering, and then behind all of that, a fantastic Temuera Morrison likeness for that head sculpt. They keep doing clones, and I really hope they continue to do so, but as far as I am concerned, they nailed it all the way back in the red line with Clone Captain Rex. I remember saying last year that I didn't want to get into collecting the Black Series if I didn't think I could get this figure, and I stand by that because this would have been such a massive gaping hole in my collection if I hadn't been able to track him down. He is by far and away the best clone they have ever done. Clone Captain Rex comes in at number 8. But if you want to talk about how great a figure looks standing on a shelf, coming in at number 7 is Darth Malgus. This guy commands a display. I mean, he towers head and shoulders over every other figure on the shelf, and he just looms there looking awesome. It's a figure that we never thought we were going to get, and I am so glad that we did, because they have absolutely nailed Malgus. Exceptional design work from the ground up, entirely new mold, the intricate details on his armor, that face is just next level, and the decision to be able to remove the mask and see his face underneath it, so you could kind of choose which version of Malgus you want to go for. Do you want to go for the Malgus before he has his face blown off, or do you want to have Malgus afterwards? How he looked when he stormed the Jedi Temple, this figure just blows my mind. But what I really wanted to talk about here is the hood. I mean, people have talked about the hood all year long, but I'm bringing it back one more time because they have finally found the perfect way to get the perfect hood. From the moment I saw the release images of this figure and saw how that hood was sitting, I was like, nah, there's no way it looks like that. But it does. It's perfectly glued down. It sits exactly the way you want it to sit on his head. They have absolutely nailed it. I can't say they've nailed it enough, because this figure is a masterpiece from the ground up. He's bulky, he's well engineered, he's intimidating, that massive great big lightsaber. Darth Malgus is an easy pick for number 7. At number 6 is the Empire Strikes Back Darth Vader, still undefeated in my collection as the best Darth Vader figure they have ever done. I will point out here that I was never able to track down the Target exclusive Duel's End Vader from Kenobi, and even though that head looks incredible and I love the likeness behind it, I still think that the next level engineering of the Empire Strikes Back Vader would have tipped the scales for me, and he would have remained undefeated all the same. There is just so much to like about this Vader. It perfectly captures his likeness. I adore the soft goods and the way they just kind of drape heavily down to the floor off his shoulders. They don't stick out and get in the way, and I have had this figure for 3 years, and for 3 years he has lived on my bedside table because it's just a figure that I love looking at so much. When you're talking about collecting a Star Wars toy line, Darth Vader is basically where that line begins and ends. Like, if there isn't a good Vader in the line, there is no point collecting the line whatsoever. And it took them a minute to get there. I'm not gonna say it didn't take them a minute to get there, but when they got to the Empire Strikes Back Vader, they just created perfection. A perfect sculpt on the helmet, a perfect likeness captured in his body, probably the best soft goods in the line, and a figure that just brings so much presence to whatever shelf he's standing on. The Empire Strikes Back Darth Vader holds his place at number 6. Number 5 is a late entry. He missed his chance to get on the list of the top 10 of 2023, and I found him the day after I posted that video. It's Darth Malak. I have not been able to put this figure down since I got him, and maybe it's recency bias, I don't know, but I think he is an absolute masterpiece of a figure. Incredibly engineered from the ground up, he stands so sturdily. No matter what position you put him in, this guy is not going anywhere. I adore the updates to his outfit from this remake that we never seemed to get, but that's okay. All of the additional details they put into his tunic, the way they have really captured this updated and more modern looking Malak. Another example of exceptional soft goods. The way that robe just kind of drapes down the side of his shoulder and just stays there. It's exactly what we've always wanted out of all of the Mandalorian figures that they could never quite figure out because they kept giving him that plastic cape. Malak's cape just sits exactly the way you want it to, and it looks incredible, so regal. And then you get to that face and the way they have absolutely nailed his likeness. This guy just oozes with personality. He is so cross-looking. He looks so angry. And if you thought that Darth Malgus looked good under his mask, when you pull off Darth Malak's mask, it's just an absolute horror show. A detail that I honestly never expected them to include, and I didn't even fully believe it when I saw that little glimpse of it in those promo images. I honestly didn't believe that they had gone there and done that with his face, but they did, and it looks incredible for it. This has been a fantastic year for Old Republic figures. Getting all 3 new Old Republic figures onto my top 10 best of all time, that just tells you how much I love these figures, how well they have captured them, and just how much they have blown them away. Add to all of this a fantastically engineered body with some exceptional articulation, incredibly vibrant colours on the paintwork. Yeah, Darth Malak is an absolute masterpiece. And he comes in at number 5. At number 4 is the Amazon exclusive Emperor Palpatine. By far the best exclusive they have ever done. Not only does this set come with probably the most desirable villain of the entire franchise, not only does it come with more accessories than you could possibly use in a lifetime. You'd have to buy like 3 Emperor Palpatine figures to be able to get full use out of all these accessories. But add to that probably the most desirable world-building accessory ever devised. I'm talking about the throne. Of course I'm talking about the throne. Back when that original Blue Line Emperor Palpatine figure came out, and it had that plastic skirt that just made it so obvious to anybody who was thinking about it that he would never be able to sit down. And what do you want to do with an Emperor Palpatine figure if not have him sit on his throne? The way that this set improved upon that original figure cannot be understated. Incredibly executed soft goods, and again, that is coming from someone who doesn't really like soft goods, who would usually prefer to have a plastic cape, but not when it comes to the Emperor. Multiple options for heads and hands and force lightning effects, and of course his walking stick. This set has everything you want for an Emperor Palpatine figure and more. And now mine has been elevated with the addition of 2 Royal Guard figures to flank him either side. It's just an exceptional set. It is the best exclusive they have ever done, and I will die on that hill. Emperor Palpatine comes in at number 4. At number 3 is Old Master Maul. Now I went back and forth forth on this, on whether the accessories in the exclusive Palpatine set outweighed the articulation on Maul, and ultimately what it came down to was, yeah, I cared more about the articulation on this one. Part of the reason that I wanted to give Clone Wars Maul his little shout out at the start of this list is because ever since I got Old Master Maul in hand, I knew that figure was never gonna make this list. This one just beats it in every way imaginable. An absolutely exceptional likeness, both in terms of the face and in terms of how well they've captured his appearance in the Battlefront game, and Season 3 of Rebels. The incredibly characteristic snarl on his face, which is far and away better than the standard neutral expression that we usually get on Black Series figures, and suits this character to a T. And then that's before you get into my personal favourite part about this figure, which is the articulation, the engineering. It has perfectly captured the athleticism of this character, which is something that all of the previous Maul figures, even that absolutely brilliant Clone Wars Season 7 Maul, failed to capture. He is nimble, he is so easy to pose, and he holds his position. You get those feet clamped down, and this guy's not going anywhere, no matter how out there your pose is. Old Master Maul comes in at number 3, which, if you were interested, this is where I would have put my Jedi Survivor Merrin. If I had one, we are down to the top 2. Coming in at number 2 of the best Black Series figures of all time is Jedi Survivor Cal Kestis, the guy who won the best of 2023, and he has made it all the way to number 2 on the best of all time. And that just really illustrates how much I adore this figure. It looks so good. It perfectly captures Cal's likeness from the game, and I am so happy with it. It literally looks like you have reached into the screen and plucked him out of the game and put him on a shelf. It is perfect in every way, shape, and form. I gushed on and on about this figure in the best of 2023, and he 100% deserves it. I adore his outfit. I love the way he looks. The face is just incredible. Like, it is the best human face they have ever done. I'm standing on that. I'm sticking my neck out there. It's the best human face they've ever done. He is the best looking human character they have ever done. And aside from the choices on his sculpt and the artistry and the paintwork, as I said in my previous video, it is just how natural he looks in whatever pose you go for that really makes this a great figure. He just looks incredible. You know, I talked about how characters that come with more than one accessory can sometimes look kind of awkward if they're trying to double wield, but not Cal. Lightsaber, gun, it doesn't matter. It just looks cool, and it perfectly captures how dynamic he is in the game and how dynamic of a character this is. How adaptable he's become. This figure is an absolute masterpiece. I adore it. Every time I look at it, it just makes me so happy. He is a fantastic figure. The old Fallen Order figures were great, but this one is just so much better, and I love it so very much. He came in at number 1 on the best of 2023. He just missed the mark in the best of all time. Jedi Survivor Cal Kestis comes in at number 2. And you all know what that means. She remains undefeated. The best Black Series figure of all time, in my not so humble opinion, is the Corvus Ahsoka Tano. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you here. For the briefest moment, I thought Cal had done it. And then I went to go and pick up the 2 figures so we could have a proper look at them. And from the moment I picked up the Ahsoka, it was, no, she's still the best. She's still my favorite. She has everything that Cal has going for him and everything that every other figure on this list has going for them. And she's got it in spades. Perfectly articulated, perfectly engineered. The way those legs work, it just hasn't been topped. The vibrancy of the colour, the way they've captured not just a great Ahsoka face and a great realization of what this character might look like in live action, they've perfectly captured Rosario Dawson behind that face. It really is like when they designed this head, they didn't set out to create an Ahsoka face from the word go. What they did first was create a perfect Rosario Dawson likeness and then build into Ahsoka from there because she just looks perfect. I really struggle to put into words just how much I love this figure. I love how well designed she is. I love how perfectly captured this character is. There is so much personality in this figure. It just, again, looks like you've reached into the screen and pulled her out of it. It just looks absolutely perfect. It is undefeated. It is still my favorite figure in this entire line. My personal pick for the #1 best Black Series figure of all time, 2024 edition, goes to the Corvus Ahsoka Tano. There you have it, a major mix-up on the list. We actually changed half of the list this year. That's why I knew we had to do one, because this past year was just so good for the line, and it is perfectly represented by how many of these new figures have made it onto this list. So with all that said, let me pass this subject off to you. What are your picks for the best Black Series figures of all time? What's your favourite obscure Black Series figure that everyone's forgotten about? What's the one that you just love looking at? There are honestly so many great figures in this line that I'm not gonna lie, narrowing the picks down to 10, even when I give myself the wiggle room of being able to shout out 2 or 3 other figures as just a break into the list itself, it is immensely challenging, and it's getting harder every single year, which just tells you how much better this line is getting each year. So I really cannot wait to see where this line goes as we move into 2024. I've got incredibly high hopes. We've got some great figures coming down the pipeline, and there is promise of even more on the way. Next week, Fine Editions is back, and we will be talking about the additions to my collection from the month of December. I guess I put a couple of spoilers for that video on this list, but I'm not exactly gonna keep them off, you know. So if you could all just do me a favour and forget about those 2 figures between now and next week, and then you can be surprised when they're on Fine Editions. All the very best wishes for 2024 from me and from my wife. I hope you have a fantastic year. I'm really looking forward to it. We've got some big plans. In the meantime, however, I've been Grand Moff Tony. Those were my picks for the 2024 edition of the top 10 best Black Series figures of all time. You may subscribe when ready. Just realised I'm sitting in the wrong chair, but it's too late now. No, that's crap. Don't do that. It's really late. Bugger. Point. 1 on the top 10 of best. Oh my god. Speak English.